Hello, my name is Victor Meladze. I'm going to demonstrate a series of techniques today, mainly dealing with a two-on-one, very often referred to as the Russian tie. It is a technique that people get into at all levels of wrestling, in high school, in college, in freestyle, in Greco, as well as in submission wrestling. It's a great series, and one that I think every competitor in wrestling, grappling, in the submission fields should master. Two-on-one tie-up, sometimes referred to as the Russian. It's a very effective tie-up controlling technique, as well as a technique to set up takedowns. So I'm going to go over it very slowly. This is a common position that you get into in scholastic, collegiate, freestyle wrestling. The two-on-one involves controlling the single arm here. And I drop my weight. The head position is critical. I'm here. A lot of times the mistake people make is they remove their head away from their opponent. Not a good thing to do. I'm staying very close. I'm here. I'm controlling the wrist. And my head is down and I'm posting. That's the very common. Another strategy is a common situation you get into. A person grabs your wrist here. Okay, here I maneuver out. I re-grab and I go into another two-on-one here. And then into a double, into a single. Okay. I want to now demonstrate a two-on-one tie-up into a snag single, and I'm going to finish with a double. Okay, very effective technique. Again, we're in this position. He ties up with me. I do the two-on-one, drive, and I double. Back straight. And again, we're here. And I'm right in and with a double. I want to demonstrate a two-on-one into a double leg takedown. And we're tied up here. My opponent squares up with me here. I duck under the elbow, drive. I am now going to demonstrate a two-on-one into a front headlock and into a far ankle pick. We're in ties up with me. I go into a front headlock. I snag down, and I'm going to demonstrate now a two-on-one into a front headlock and a far ankle pick. Okay, we're wrestling. We're tied up. I snag down the front headlock. He comes up to his feet. And I drive to a far ankle and cradle. I want to demonstrate now a two-on-one into a front headlock technique followed by a far ankle pick. So we're tied up here. He puts his hands up, ties up with me. I snap down with the front headlock. He puts his leg up. I drive to the ankle and right into the break. A two-on-one into a duck under. So we're going to tie up. I'll execute the two-on-one, and Luke is going to counter me by grabbing my wrist, and at that point, I will execute the duck under. Now I'm going to go over a more complex series of techniques here. We're going to work off of a two-on-one, a head outside single, and I'm going to drive to a double for a takedown. Okay? Luke and I tie up. Boom, he's here. He's grabbing my wrist. Here. Boom. Yeah. All right, I'm going to go over a more complex series of techniques here. I'm going to go from a two-on-one. Luke's going to counter me with a wrist grab, and I'm going to hit a head outside single and finish with a double. Tie up. I'm going to go over another common counter that you run into off of a two-on-one. When I get a two-on-one, very often I've had people block me at the head. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to block, parry the elbow. I'm going to hit a double and finish with a back trip double. Tied up. Here. Boom. Okay. I am now going to go over a two-on-one counter. How to counter a two-on-one. There are obviously, like any other series, different strategies. One of my favorite is what they call sometimes the Russian spin. Luke's going to do a two-on-one on me. I'll spin it and hit a double. I'm now going to do the Russian spin much slower than in the last demonstration, so you could see the mechanics of it. So we're tied up. Luke does a two-on-one. I'm stepping here. I'm rotating with the momentum. Boom. And I'm hitting a double. And again, we're going to try that again. We're tied up. I step, As soon as he starts the 2-on-1. So here it is again, much slower. We're tied up. Luke throws the 2-on-1. I'm spinning, boom, and I'm hitting, in this case, a single and spinning around. Now I'm going to do a 2-on-1 with both of my arms controlling Luke's upper arm. And I'm going to execute it from an open position rather than a tie-up. So here it is. When you're sparring, your opponent reaches for you. I'm going to block here, and I'm going to control the upper arm and right into a single. Now I'd like to go over a choking technique. It's a counter to a single leg takedown. And I'm going to execute this very slowly. It's going to involve basically 3 steps. Luke's going to attack me. I'm going to counter by sprawling and throwing in a closed whizzer. And then I will demonstrate the actual choking technique. So we're here, and Luke shoots a single. I sprawl, and note how I have a closed whizzer. I'm actually gripping my thigh. I'm jamming in here, putting a lot of pressure in. At this point, I slip my arm under, bring the other arm to my shoulder, and I have on a choke that stops his forward movement. The choke involves bringing my hand under to my shoulder and using the forearm to cut off the circulation here. I now want to demonstrate a submission wrestling technique. This is something that that would be effective for you in submission wrestling, in jiu-jitsu, in MMA type of an event. It's a counter to a single leg. It's called a deep 3/4 choke. Luke and I square off. He hits me with a single. Boom, I sprawl. I jam my hips into it, and at that point I'm ready to put on the choke. My hand slips under, and I'm driving with my forearm, curling my forearm, and jamming here. It stops his forward movement. I'm going to demonstrate now a deep 3/4 choke off of a front headlock. Luke is going to throw a single. I'm going to sprawl, go into a front headlock, and then into a deep 3/4 that can be used as a submission technique. Boom, I'm here. I go into a front headlock position, and right there I'm in a choke position, and I can drive him, pretty much do it whatever I please. Is the choke on, Luke?
Yeah.
Yeah, good. I'm going to go for a choking technique that carries over extremely well to submission wrestling, MMA type of events. Luke is going to throw a single on me. I'm going to front headlock him and immediately go into a choking technique, followed by a throw and another submission. Luke throws a single. I put my hips into it. I go into a deep 3/4 choke. He powers out. He's very powerful. And I take him back. At that point, boom, I'm in this position. I can use the elbows to punish the head. And I've got the double hammer lock I can work towards. Place me in a position where I can shut down his attack. I'm on the 2-on-1, how to maintain pressure on the opponent. And some of the common mistakes people make, as I said earlier in the tape, one of the biggest mistakes people make is they keep their head either down out here so they can get punished with a palm. They're really not in good position, or they're staying out here. The 2-on-1 involves a very, very close connection with the opponent. I'm twisting at the upper arm, I'm pulling at the wrist, and I'm jamming my head right into the side of his head and neck. And the next process that's involved in this hold is pressure. I'm pressuring, I'm posting that far leg, posting, you know, boom, and I got the single leg takedowns and doubles. So again, the pressure has to be down. It has to be down. I have to move him around here. It's never put on in a loose way. 2-on-1 into a far knee pick. Sometimes an opponent gets careless. They're in a poor stance, they step forward. This happens a lot in wrestling, and it involves simply picking, blocking the knee, and driving the opponent over. So Luke and I tie up, I'm in the 2-on-1, and I drive to the knee. Now against a good man, very often if I go for a knee pick, what will happen is he'll just simply get wrist control, or he'll move the leg back and counters my knee pick. At that point, though, what happens is a front headlock opens up. The leg is back, there's nothing supporting him, and only one logical thing to do is to drop. So here we go. We're in a 2-on-1. I'm here, I go for a pick. He gets his leg back, I jam with a 2-on-1, and I'm rotating here into a front headlock. And I go behind. I'm now going to do a variation off a knee pick, 2-on-1 to a knee pick, but it'll be a variation of it. Rather than picking the knee, I'm going to go to the ankle. Sometimes, very often, again, the opponent loses connection with himself, places the left leg too far or the right leg too far, and opens up an ankle pick. So this is a 2-on-1 to a far ankle pick. Now again, to go over this technique slowly, what I'm doing here is off the 2-on-1, I'm throwing actually a trip. My hips there, I'm posting at the ankle and then driving. All right, I'm going to demonstrate another variation to a 2-on-1. Rather than keeping both hands high on the arm, I'm going to control his forearm. So it's a very quick technique. It's more of a setup to a single or a double and less of a controlling technique. Luke and I are sparring. He reaches out with his hand. I'm controlling the forearm and dragging him past. So again, to demonstrate this, we're sparring. He's here. I'm jamming with the head up. I've got the far side blocked up. I control at the wrist and drive with him. Off of a wrestling facelift. In submission wrestling, we're able to put pressure on joints. In freestyle and collegiate wrestling, there is a technique called facelift. If Luke gets me in a snag single, I could counter with a facelifting technique and get my leg back. If for submission wrestling purposes, I like to use a closed, locked up facelift where I'm grabbing the palm and I'm torquing at the neck and driving here and into the 2-on-1 position. Okay, I want to go over a counter to an underhook. This is a technique that people very often encounter in freestyle and scholastic wrestling, and collegiate and MMA and submission wrestling. My opponent underhooks me, jams with the head, he's blocking me off, we're in a clinch position, and I want to set up a single leg takedown, and I want to get out of this position. What I'm doing is I'm placing my palm right here on his chest, I'm grabbing my wrist, and then with both hands I'm straightening it out. I have now room to get my arm out, and I drive to a takedown. So we're going to try that one more time. We're in a clinch. Luke gets underhook, is jamming. We're in here. Boom! I link arm, and I'm here. Boom! That can run. Takedown. We're now going to go over a counter to an over and under series. Again, this is something you get into in different grappling systems. You're in an underhook, overhook position. A good thrower can take you to the ground, mount you, and throw various techniques, be it joint locks or strikes. So it's not a situation, a place you want to be against a good wrestler or a good thrower. So Luke now is going to throw me. This is very often what happens when people get caught into over and under series. We're in here, grappling, I get careless. Go over some practical defensive tactics you can use to counter the over and under. A great way of offsetting the thrower's base. So Luke and I are in over other position. A great way to counter him is to control this knee. When he tries to step in, I'm moving out to the side and I'm controlling the knee. Very often you'll see wrestlers, grapplers way in here. This is the knee. You see how he was trying to move in for a throw, and I picked right at the knee. Good. Again, another technique is to block here, inside of the thigh, on the knee, and then I like to move in here and work the double palm, loose arm, and then into takedown. Okay, now I'm going to go over a counter to an underhook by executing a side headlock. Okay, Luke gets an underhook on me. What I like to do is I block off here. I'm controlling the other arm. I drop my weight, and I like to fake for the singles and throw the side headlock. If I'm in an MMA situation or submission, I like to bring the arm here and go for a choke. Okay, I want to now go over a counter to an underhook by throwing a side headlock. Luke is going to get an underhook on me. I'm going to control the far arm. I'm going to block off. I'm going to fake as though I'm going for a knee pick and elicit a reaction from him. As soon as he gets the leg back, that sets me up for the side headlock. And here we go. So I'm here, I'm blocking off here, I'm controlling, we're grappling. I go for the knee. right into the side headlock. In wrestling, I've got the pin. In submission wrestling, I can at that point go into a choke, drop my head below the elbow, and I've got a tap out situation going. Boom.